Hi everybody and welcome to Frank's 3D Shop. In this video, I assembled my new Prusa MK3S printer. You can follow along in the Prusa assembly instructions. I give you some of my tricks to make it easier for you. Another excellent resource is the online manual from Prusa. See the link below. If you have a problem on a step, read the comments for that section. They can be very handy. Okay, next step. Prepare the following: extruder idler, Buntek without the hole for the grub screw. Yeah, that's the only one left. This is going in the spare bag, spare grub screw that I'm gonna put in the spare bag. It's a gear, two bearings, two small bearings, and a shaft. One shaft, yeah. One M3 nut, hexagonal nut. Two M3 40. Yeah. One idler spring here on the screw. Insert both bearings in the pulley. So bearing in the pulley, bearing in the pulley, and you have to hold them underneath. Watch out so they don't slip out. So I don't know. Let's put it here like that. Okay. Use the pulling method. I'm gonna try to push it in first with a screw. Doesn't go all the way in. So I think it's correct. It's flush. Let's try to use a screw to pull it in a little further. Let's see if it will go. Yeah, it goes in a little more. Yeah, that's it. It's about 1 millimeter down. Okay. Insert the pulley as shown and slide the shaft in the pulley. Don't use excessive force. It's like a team here. So the part goes like this, and the gear in. Then I think I'm gonna use a small Allen key just to be sure that it's aligned. Then push in the bearings. Pushing the rod, the shaft. Okay. So I think I'm gonna try to push it, align the gears, then push in. Yeah. Okay. Gently push in. Yeah, it's not that bad. Let's use this opportunity to check once more the proper alignment of the filament in the Buntek gears. Push the filament from the top through the Buntek into the PTFU tube. Check the alignment and if needed, adjust the position of the gear. I'm gonna cut the end this way. So I'm making sure that it's almost completely tightened, so just back off a little bit. So you see it can move now. So it's gonna align itself with the filament. So now that it is aligned, I will finish tightening this little grub screw. Not too much because it's gonna break. So it's aligned. Place the extruder idler in place and secure it with the M340. So you take the extruder idler assembly, put it in place, then use the M340, screw it in the motor, Don't tighten the screw too firmly. It serves as a shaft for the idler. So if you screw this too tight, this won't move. That's about it. That's enough. Check that the idler can rotate freely. Yeah, it is. Use the M340 with the spring to introduce it on the other side. So it's gonna screw in this little nut. So you have to hold the idler on the other side. So they say to until it reaches the nut. So since there is only one screw, you need to introduce a large force. The head of the screw should be aligned or slightly below the surface. Oh, okay. So on this side should be flush or slightly below. That's it. Print fan support preparation. So the print fan support, one M310 and one hexagonal nut. Then you use a screw to make sure it's all in. That's it. It's in. Use the screw pulling technique. Done. Place the support. It's the motor like this, the motor like this. It is crucial that it's inserted all the way. Yes, yes it is. Place the support on the extruder. Ensure the inclined part is facing down. So there is an incline. So it goes here. Then use the M10, the M310. So what I'm gonna do is insert the M310 already. Then so the nut must be facing this way. So the nut that's inside goes this way. So this goes this way. And you tighten the nut. You tighten the screw. I'm using the ball end. So you have to hold this, then screw in from the side. A little bit. That's it. So it looks like this. Fan shroud, a square nut, and an M320. I'm gonna measure this. Yep, M320. Okay, let's put this between the rest of the screws. The fan shroud was initially designed for M318 screw, but based on the feedback and to make the assembly more convenient, to use a M320. If your extruder bag includes only 2 M320s, please use another one from the spare bag. 2, 3, 3, 3. I'm okay. Insert the nut. So you insert the nut here, like this. It's okay. It's in. Then install. Okay, so it goes just beneath the fan near the extruder, or like this. Then you use the M320 to join the two. Now it's a little hard because it's trying to make some threads in the plastic, and again I should have my finger there so that I don't drop into the fan with the Allen key. It's pushing on the, it's pushing it instead of threading in. So I have to back up. I back off. Okay. So I have to do it a couple of times and watch for this to to be flush with the other part. So I'm holding here, putting my finger here, holding this, putting my finger not to drop in the fan, so that it's sandwiched. Yeah, it pushes on this. I can sense that it's pushing, but eventually I'm gonna have it at the right place. I'm taking it out. Whoops. And back again. I think it's okay. There is a small gap here, but it's fine. As long as it's pushed that way or at an angle, I think it's gonna be fine. Mostly centered here. So we need the part fan or part turbine. Should go in like this. And you take another M320, and you don't want to crack this. So it's just 2 fingers, really slightly. That's it. Doesn't move. It's okay. So really gentle with this screw. You don't need much force. It won't unscrew itself, but if you do screw in too much, it's gonna break. And then you have to guide the cable. So you have to guide the cable here and leave maybe a small, let's undo this. Let's take out one loop. So it goes here. Don't stretch the cable, they say. Then the PINDA sensor and the PINDA probe goes here. I'm gonna have it about, well, I would say 2 millimeters above the tip of the hot end, like this. And then you just slightly screw in this, because we will have to, it will be adjusted later, so just so that it doesn't move. Then create a loop behind the sensor, like this, so it's holding both cables. Cover part preparation. One cover part, one cover, and then one M310, and the M310 goes in this slot. So there's a bevel here, and the screw goes on the flat side. Place the cover onto the extruder. So there's a notch here for the board. So you see. And this is for the filament. I push in the cover. And they say if you can't reach the nut, try using an Allen key or pulling it up using a longer I cannot reach, so I'm gonna try to pull it here. Then I will verify that I have an M310. Yes, I do. Going to verify that there is nothing inside that hole, or the screw. Yeah, it's flush. So the screw goes in all the way. And then again, yeah, now it's screwing in. Okay, next step. Prepare 2 zip ties. 2 zip ties. Okay, so you insert them like this. And like this. Okay. Lower the x-axis to 1/3. Okay. I'm gonna put it like this so that you can see. Okay, on the other side, they do it like this. Take the motor, because you don't want to break this fan. If you put your hands here, you could damage this fan. So taking the motor is a safe way. Then insert, you have to push the cables either sides. The bearings must be inside the part here in the middle. So that's about it. Then you tighten. That's it. Then I do the same. Finish, tighten up and cut out. The zip ties and the head must be on top. And both needs to be no gap in the middle, and both in the middle. So both middle hand in the middle, and they are closer together. Then you have to pass the cables in between the 2 rods like this. 2 on one side, this, and the rest, except the extruder, not the extruder, but the cables that are on this side, on this channel. They go through in between the two rods. That's it. So you have a channel here, and you pass the cables through in between, and here the same thing, and the hot end goes underneath. Now we need the belt. So first you have to insert it here. Then you can take a small screwdriver and push in all the way down inside the channel here. And there are little teeth here which match with the teeth that you put underneath. You put down the teeth so that they match here, and this cannot be taken out. Then you take the belt on top of the bearing, then on the bottom, through the other side, then on the bottom of the motor shaft, and over on top, then back to here. Okay, before you continue to guide, you unscrew the two top nuts. You release the screw so that this motor can rotate. I'm gonna take out half a turn on the third one so that it can move freely. Make sure that this does not touch the screw here, or unscrew it a little more, but I'm sure it's not in the way, so this can move freely here. So the belt, we inserted the belt here, came around the bearing here, then back in the channel, around the motor shaft, then back, and they say to insert the belt here, but do not trim it yet. Okay, maybe a little tighter. I'm not pulling too much on it. I'm making sure that it's on the bearing here correctly, and it's on the motor shaft correctly. It's not outside of the channel. Then they say to use a small screwdriver to push it in, but do not cut it yet, like this. What they tell you is rotate the motor this way, like this. So you're tightening the belt. Then use your two fingers. The belt shouldn't bend on itself, and not too much force is needed to bring them together, and they make a nice sound. For me, that's perfect. So they say that if you are sure, if it's too loose, you bring the belt one notch more in this way, so it's tighter. If it's too tight, if you cannot, with excessive force, bring those two together, you move the other way. Mine seems to be just fine. So if you're okay with the tension, they say to turn the motor to its original position. Okay, turn the motor to its original position and tighten the screws. Not too tight. So I'm giving tension here, not too much force. So it's holding. It makes a nice sound. Yeah. Okay, next step. Okay, now we adjust this. So what I usually do is unscrew this, and if you move the back and forth, I think it's that the belt is too close this way, so I'm gonna pull out the gear a bit and try again. Too much again. So pull out the gear. Pull out the gear a bit. You see? Now it's pretty much centered. or maybe no, it's the other way, so a little less. Yeah, it's about centered now. So this pulley is at the right place. Now let's tighten the screw so it doesn't move again. Not too much. Check it again. So the belt is pretty much centered on the gear, which is perfect. You can have a look at the other side just to be sure that nothing's wrong. Now to test if the belt is properly tensioned. Again, like in the y-axis, you find the flat spot and you hold the motor. Here I don't have much to go with. And you try to move this. It doesn't want to move at all. If the belt was not correctly tightened, straight, yeah. So it doesn't deform here or here, and it doesn't move. So everything's fine. Tension is good, and it moves freely. But there's the tension of the motor, but it doesn't catch anywhere, moves freely. If the tension wasn't correct, you move one teeth in or out, depending on if it's too tight or too loose. So you can now cut. So with the flush cutters, I think that they say to mark and remove the belt, but I won't. I'm gonna follow the teeth with the flush cutter and maybe one teeth inside. So that's it. I should be able to tuck it in nicely. If not, I'm gonna remove another teeth. Oh, it's okay. Goes in easily. That's it. And it's flush to the bottom, so you have room. If the belt stretch further on, you can cut a little teeth more and bring it. But if it stretches, I'm gonna replace it anyway. So tension is good. We've cut out the excess. Must be a little harder to push in, so it's hard at the end here, the last millimeter. So I think it's good. And you can use this screw to push this, but I don't need it because the tension is already good. So I'm going to screw in until it stops. So it's pushing on this to rotate the motor, but I don't need much because it's already in place. Doesn't need to go further. It's already at the end, but it's gonna release some tension on both bolts because it's gonna be pushed by this one, so it won't move on you further on. So now we work on the opposite side. Safety glasses for cutting the nylon filament. Locate the nylon filament. It's one of the box in at the bottom of the fastener YLE box. Here it is. So you cut one of the end at 45 like this. Use the smaller Allen key to look for any obstacles. So it's here. Doesn't seem to have. There is nothing. Okay, so using pliers, you hold on onto the nylon, but not too hard. Then you push in. You put your hand on the motor on the other side, and I'm gonna hold the motor and the smooth rods. Then you insert. It's a tight fit. And then if you want to be sure it's okay, you pull on it. It won't come out. You see, I can tug on it, and it won't come out. Okay, prepare the X carriage, then the cable holder, M340, yeah, 40, and one hexagonal nut. So you have one end that has a bigger hole than the other. So the bigger hole is for the screw head, like this, so it's flush, and it's coming out at the other end. Then there is a a space here for a small nut, and I'm gonna use the pull method, using a screw, making sure it's oriented the right way like the hole, then finish screwing in the nut, and in the end you're gonna feel you feel a resistance. It's at the right place. Try not to push the screw, and just remove the screw. Then you insert the cable holder, the rounded side on the rounded here channel for the cables. Now the right one. Then finish screwing in, so it's screwing in that nut we inserted. Make sure it's in line with the hole down there. Not too much pressure, again, sturdy. Then the fun part begins. Don't do this like this, do it up. So you have to push the cables through this. So this has to be here. So you push the cables through, so that this is hanging out the back. So you push, and I'm gonna undo the tie wraps. So you pull all of the cables on the back here from the two channels through that, and also the nylon. Well, let's do the nylon at the last. So this is the bigger one, the motor. Then the fan. Oh, it's even larger. Then, no, that's not the fan, that's the pentaprobe, and this is the fan. Push it through. Like this. Make sure not to make knots. Okay. So you have, let's make something clean. Then the nylon. And the cable of the hot hand doesn't go through there. They go beneath here. So you leave them. And both cables from both channels, here, and here, go through. You try to not twist them, making sure that they go nicely, so everything is nice. So you see 3 cables here, 2 cables here, and in the middle you have the nylon filament. Then you need 4 M310 screws. So make sure you don't pinch any cables underneath, and that they go nicely on each side. Cables here, there, and you align the holes. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. I'm gonna try to find, there it is. And I'm pinching with one end on the motor beneath and here, so that I don't break anything. Oh, it's catching on the nut. Same thing on top. And one down here. Just making sure that all of the cables are not, there is no pinch cables anywhere. Seems to be good, going through nicely. I'm watching for the gap here, and I'm in all the way. Yeah, and not too tight again. Again, I'm holding the motor underneath or in front if it's on the other side. So let's use the regular X key. So I'm holding on to the motor down and tightening just enough, not too tight. Now you need 5 zip ties, 5 zip ties, and the sleeve, the cable sleeve that is inside that tube. So there is 3 sleeves, and you need, so the biggest, pick 'em the biggest. So you use the larger one. This can open like this. One thing that I did forget is putting in this screw for the fan. Simple enough. And don't tighten those too much, because the screws is gonna go inside this part and break this. So just a little. It doesn't move. So the last step is on this side. So again, I like to have the cables not twisted. Don't forget to include the nylon filament. So wrap this around, then push it in. So you don't need to insert the sleeve on the whole thing. Gently twist. You have to push it in. So let's see. Make it tighter. Then push it in. Trying to push it in, but there is not much gap there. Oh, there it is. Insert 3 zip ties in the lower holes. So there is 3 holes with the teeth up. You see, to twist it. Twist the sleeve but not the cables. You reset them done. Then like this. Cut it, and the head should be this way and up. Then use 2 zip ties to push them enough in the upper hole, like this and this. Before tightening the zip ties, add the cables from the hot end. Use the channel in the printed part to arrange them properly. Once the hot end cables are included, tighten the zip ties and cut out the remaining zip ties. Okay, so you go really gently. Going to put the I'm not going to pull on this cable. I'm gonna let it loose a bit. First on the channel, then the second one on top like this. You don't see much. Anyway, first the 2 smaller ones without pulling too much on them, because you don't want to break them down there. Then the other one, and you have to, those cables have to be higher than the nozzle, or else they will touch the part. So I think that there, yeah, there is a notch here. So there's a channel here. So you push the cables in that channel, like this and like this, yeah. Then you tighten the zip ties on the side. Yeah, I think it's okay. Cut the tails. Then you have to insert the cables here with the other cables, and it has to go straight. Include those 2 cables in the wrap, the cable wrap. Then you insert the cables down the whole way. Last step, check the look. I'm checking the look. Yeah, seems to be good, and it moves. Cool. So part 5 finished. That's it for me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and see you in the next video. Ciao, bye.